On this episode of Man of Prestige.
For those who don't know what you're talking about, what are the sign languages?
Right. So look at how long we've been on for 4 hours. TLA has been on for 4 hours to unpack this conversation. Certain conversations when it comes to romance and relationship will take time. And a lot of time when we try to push the rhetoric of facts and all this kind of things down, we're just trying to get to the answer very fast. We're not patient. And it's not just relationship, it's in life. It's something that high value men, the true high value men actually understand. Sometimes it takes time to get to the core of the conversation, to get to what somebody is trying to say. I think across board, I think most ladies take their time and they will speak sign languages to get to the bottom, and don't take an offense to that. I understand we're supposed to be talking to the ladies, but I also wanted to make a point that let's not be too quick to judge the sign language. A lot of time, like, shout out to the...
Wait, when you say let's not be too quick to judge the sign language, what does that mean?
So, in this lesson, we will react to the greatest roast of the year. We will also cover 1. The real sign language. 2. The manosphere actual sign language, S.I.G.N. 3. How the manosphere's loudest audience uses sign language to shame the ladies. 4. The correlation between the real sign language and S.I.G.N. language. 5. The lesson. Before we get into all of that, let's react to the video. All right, can you hear me now?
There we go.
All right, so sorry about that. I muted the mic as well. Yeah.
Excellent. We got the man of prestige over here. Excellent. So you heard what Chantel said. You heard what Kevin Samuel said. What Suzette and I, we were kind of going back and forth in the beginning. Other people came in. What's your opinion on all of this?
Oh man, I was gonna ask. At that point, he completely caught me off guard because I actually wanted to come on there. I was curious about his opinion. I wanted to know his opinion, but you caught me off guard there. But nonetheless, let's go. Ask you for your opinion, but I think it's your show, so I think I should give my opinion. You're right.
Yeah.
So my opinion is that the sign languages, I get it. The conversation is about talking.
And where
to
are you
ladies.
from? I hear an accent as well.
I'm Nigerian.
Nigerian.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm Nigerian. The thing is that the sign languages, shout out to Suzette for that. We see the sign languages as a negative thing. I don't think it's a negative thing.
For those who don't know what you're talking about, what are the sign languages?
Right. So that's quality question. She asked a quality question. However, I was not prepared to start to explain what sign languages were. Neither did I care about the acronym of the sign language, which I will explain towards the end of this video, and why it didn't matter. See, the gurus will create one thing, and the way people use it could be completely different. The sign language is used to dismiss people when they're in the middle of a conversation. They get very offensive. They get very offended very quickly, and they dismiss a conversation because that's shaming us. If you say, hey, men should do this, men should be leaders, you're shaming us. So it becomes, when they start hearing things like that, they call it sign languages. Because it's not, they feel like it's going in circles to the point that they established, right? But anyway, so look at how long we've been on for 4 hours. TLA has been on for 4 hours to unpack this conversation. Certain conversations when it comes to romance and relationship will take time. And a lot of time when we try to push the rhetoric of facts and all this kind of things down, we're just trying to get to the answer very fast. We're not patient. And it's not just relationship, it's in life. It's something that high value men, the true high value men actually understand. Sometimes it takes, by the way, that's another terminology that I don't use. I hate using it. Just again, I was attempting to speak to a certain audience. I would admit that's a failed attempt, even because you can even feel it. Like when somebody says high value, like it's off. High value is determined by the market, and we don't get to call ourselves high value men. The market calls us or sees us. Not even calling. Calling is goofy. Sees us as value or not. Takes time to get to the core of the conversation, to get to what somebody is trying to say. I think across board, I think most ladies take their time and they will speak sign languages. It's just what it is. You just have to learn how to ask quality questions. TLA know what that is, to get to the bottom. And don't take an offense to that. You know, I understand we're supposed to be talking to the ladies, but see, I was being a little condescending there. I knew people were probably taking offense to what I'm about to say, but I was already saying it ahead of them. So I admit I was being a little condescending there, but let's keep going. But that's basically what it does. Like when you start to have some of these toxic conversations, it goes in circles. Like you have people go, that's why these conversations are dramatic, you know? But wait for the roast. I also wanted to make a point that let's not be too quick to judge the sign language. A lot of time, like shout out to the
Wait. When you say let's not be too quick to judge the sign language, what does that mean?
So
When you say let's not be too quick, is sign language good or is it bad?
Is it an acronym for
it's
something?
neither. So when TLA is asking that question, he's trying to bring it down to exact science, as people in this community tend to do. They're trying to bring it down to exact science. He's also an attorney. That's basically part of what they do. They ask quality questions to try to get to the point of the conversation. The credit I'm giving him there is that at least he's asking questions and he's not in the comments talking about there goes the sign languages again. The origination of this topic, the reason why I used the word sign at all was because somebody used it in the chat, as they normally do. There goes the sign languages again. She's speaking them sign languages, right? This lady was extremely respectful. She was extremely what a lot of people will refer to as exuding feminine energy. So there's no way anybody should be dismissing what she was trying to say, aside of me admitting that this is all dramatic conversation anyway, right? But somebody was, and that's what brought it up. I don't even use the term sign languages because I do think it's goofy to use it as a way to dismiss conversations, you know. It's neither good nor bad. It's the point. There's the nature of at that point TLA was confused when I say it's neither good or bad. These conversations are neither good nor bad. If you engage in a conversation with me, I could not possibly be wrong if you're going to make anything out of the conversation. And he does a good job at that, by the way, by not being quick to dismiss people. He does poke fun and stuff like that, which is perfectly fine. I actually did enjoy the roast. But the gist there is that this is neither like sign languages. When somebody is speaking sign languages, that if they're insulting you, if directly they're insulting you, no, that's bad. You should never engage such conversations under no circumstances. But I was more so referring to what most people refer to as sign languages, not the actual sign language, not actually insult, not actual insult. I'm talking about when people get to take offense too quickly and reference everything as insult when you're trying to address them. That's what I was talking about, as opposed to the actual insult. No one should ever have to tolerate insult. So let's be clear on that. Of all of us, when we're talking, when we get caught up in our emotions, we don't necessarily say what we mean to say.
What do you mean body language?
No, sign language. She was trying to understand what I was saying, but she didn't have the proper context. She couldn't. I follow this community because of the lessons that I have to offer the community, or let me say insights, because I always claim that I'm not trying to push any solution, but just to have conversations and share insights. So I have certain insights, and when I do share them, they can absolutely come off as sign language. In other words, shaming, insult, guilt, and without the need to be right. The difference between me and most people is that I really don't need to be right, because I think right and wrong are irrelevant. And that was the point I was also making here. Maybe they can explain it in the chat. This is a
Hold on now. How are you using? Wait. How are you using?
This is the TLA trying to hold me accountable, quote unquote.
in the term and you don't even know what it means.
I'm gonna try.
All
Thank you. Thank you. So he was right. I probably should not have tried to use it without being ready to spell out the acronym. Okay. But again, it wasn't the acronym I was talking about. I was talking about more so about how it's being used. At the end of this video, I will share with you the acronym in details and the actual sign language that goes as far back as 1840 something or 16 something that the deaf culture and deaf community uses. And but let's keep going.
Come on. Listen, I hold the women accountable. But now you come up here and you're using phrases that you don't even know what they mean.
Thank you. Hold me accountable, and I'm going to explain it. So when the gentleman said, so I was doubling down. This part, I would admit that I shouldn't have doubled down. I could easily, like, I'm actually allowed to say, you know what, forget the sign acronym. I'm talking about how it is used. I'm not going to define it because I don't use it. I could have easily said that. But like I always say, we all get caught up in the sign language thing in terms of using signs to describe like the deaf community. We all try to do that, and I say that figuratively, and he was doing it as well too. So let's keep going here. This sign language, or when Kevin Samuel says sign language, that means they're going around and they don't get to the point, right?
Okay.
That's what it means. That means they're just saying different. They're not saying what they mean. Now I would admit also, as Nigerians, English is kind of like second language, so we probably fourth or fifth language. So sometimes getting a point across to like an American can be a little bit tough, especially if you don't have the environment where you can feel relaxed. So I've been teaching in English forever, so that's really not an issue for me on a normal day. But the real true yourself will come out in the middle of some level of crisis. So I deserve the roast, and the roast was valuable after all. So that's the point of going through this reaction video. To say, so I don't think that's necessarily. Did I explain that? Did that work?
You explained it
Of course not. But to hell with that. Let's go to the point.
incorrectly according to the chat, but okay.
Okay.
I'm lost.
You're lost. Okay. So sign language. So this is another evidence that this was a goofy thing. This whole sign language and the acronym S.I.G.N is a goofy thing. Even the TLA did not know what the acronym stood for or stands for. He didn't know, because he could have just corrected me right away, but he really did not know, because people that are busy, men of prestige, they don't sit around looking for acronyms to shame other people in the name of feeling shamed. That's what that acronym stands for. And I was more so speaking about how it is used, and I will explain that later. It's a dismissive tool to dismiss the ladies and by the people that don't have game. Language in real life, the literal meaning of sign language is something that the deaf and the dumb speak. Right?
Okay.
All right. So at that point, I was not talking about the actual meaning, origination of the phrase sign language. It goes back into the 1600. No. What did I say? All the way to before Christ, 5th century before Christ, right? It's not something that Kevin Steele created. It's not something that anybody in the manosphere created. The version of it that they created, I dare say, with all due respect to the Godfather, is goofy. It's a way to dismiss people while still practicing the same thing. We use shame, guilt, shame, insult, guilt to dismiss people, and the need to be right to dismiss people when they're expressing themselves like a normal human, which means sometimes we go in circles like I was, right, to get to the point. That's the nature of a normal human being. Has nothing, this is a correction for TLA, has nothing to do with being an adult or not, much less shaming the women. Hey, there you have it.
Okay, keep going. I gotta hear this.
Right.
All right.
So now it's become more of a figure of speech, right?
Okay.
Within the manosphere, it's a way to describe that she's not getting to the point. She's not speaking facts. She's speaking emotionally. It's just a figure of speech. Does that help?
Okay. Yeah, it helps. I got you. Okay.
All right. So
But
when he said he got me, he means that, by the way. I believe when he says he got me, and you'll see You will see more of that later, and that's some of the things I enjoy about his show. He does the roast, he does this monologue, he's really good at what he does. So I believe him when he says that.
You say if she's not. I asked you if you thought it was good or bad, and you said it was neither. But now this definition, it sounds like it's a bad thing.
You notice when he says it's neither, I said it's neither. So pay attention to when I'm speaking the way I speak, I stick to how I speak. And if you're international, lead attorney claims it's international, you understand that. You understand that people speak different accents, and it is just what it is. But more so, you understand that from a standpoint of you also use that to enlighten yourself. So for me personally, I understand people come from different parts of the world and people speak differently. And that's some of the ongoing battles that we have. With that being said, we have so much more in common than we like to admit.
If women are not getting to the point.
So, good point. So it depends on who is reading that. It depends on who is saying, is it good or bad? From me personally, I'm speaking to you. I'm saying I don't think when you see the smile on the lead attorney's face, he's looking at the comments. A lot of time he's looking at the comments. The comment is goofy. That's what they do. I also, I'm part, that's actually, this shows one of the best part that I enjoy the most. If I really just want to relax, is just watch the comment and see how they talk. And sometimes when I do have time, I engage as well. Yeah, either good or bad. I think it's the nature of all of us to speak with our emotions when we get caught up in emotions. That's just what it is. When you start looking at right or wrong. So I'm gonna link the original video, by the way, at the bottom of this video, right? Excuse me, real quick. So I'm actually gonna link at the bottom of this video, but what I was saying there is that we all speak, when we're speaking out of emotions, we can be condescending, sarcastic, right? And it can be offensive, For example, I was absolutely enjoying this whole process. I don't know if you could tell on my face, and even after the fact with all the super chats. But that's all part of emotions. It's basically what makes 85% of our interaction in life. So it really doesn't make any logical sense to be dismissing it or be dismissive about it, because you're looking to get quicker to some ass or to long-term committed relationship. That's part of the game. You have to calm down and relax, gentlemen. Not TLA, because I think he does that actually very well. Generally, you will judge just because you're seeing that person as speaking wrong. It's okay. Everyone, here we go. Somebody that had no name say you're making us Nigerians look bad, brother. So I'm gonna speak to that later. Just stay tuned. Everybody's tired. I get it. That's fine. But I still wanted to speak to the point. I won't use sign language. I promise.
Okay. Well.
Did you notice Suzette was like, yeah, move past that. See, that's another thing that a lot of gentlemen realize about ladies, especially her, because I was on a live stream after that. If you get into all this extra drama, they don't really enjoy that, And it may come off as she's the one creating the drama, but if you don't catch yourself and get out of it quicker enough, she's going to be the one to call you a bitch for not moving past that quickly. You notice how she said, yeah, let's move past that, because she's not exactly comfortable with the idea of poking fun. Some people are comfortable with that. Some people are lightheaded about that. Like TLA will have fun. He's having fun with the conversation. I am, but a man of procedure understands when is the right time to get past that and move on forward. And that was an example of that in a few minutes into the conversation.
All right, that's the point. You kind of lowered your credibility a little bit. So
thank you. I appreciate that.
Build it back up.
I'll explain. The reason why I use sign language is in the chat. They've used it all day long. That's why I used it.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
Right. So, but basically what I was trying to say is that sometimes to get to the bottom of a conversation, it takes time. That's the point I'm trying to make. We shouldn't be too much in a rush. After all, TLA is not in a rush because he's running this live streams crazy, running it down, right? We shouldn't be in a rush. The idea that we have to get to the fact. See, the double-edged sword of this conversation is that you're going to take this back to your relationship and try to hurry or try to rush your lady to get to the point, and it's going to backfire. And the other side of this double-edged sword is that TLA is going to continue to have these watch hours, and we're going to continue to benefit from it. I'm going to be here to continue to support him, right? But I'm just saying, be careful when you say sign language. We can't get to the point that quick. We have to be patient, gentlemen. That's the point. And
so we can just take our time and kind of get to the point. That's
no. TLA is about to poke fun at me again. It's fun. It's take our time because I took my time, right?
You're right.
Take your time, young
man.
man.
To get to the point, to get to the point, it's a function of time and patience. Check that out. I think they were trying to sing a song that I didn't get. Again, I'm Nigerian. I spent most of my life in the Americans, in United States, and I was born here in the United States. However, I spent a lot of my early years, developing years in Nigeria. So there are certain jokes I just will not get, right? Like, gentlemen, that's just part of life. You're going to travel and be international. You're going to be the butt of the jokes sometimes. And you have to be willing to take that. It could be from your lady, right? You have to be open to taking that. If you're not open to taking that, you're going to miss out on life and love. So that was fun watching that again over. Yes, that's just life.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
And I know you always do the shout out in the beginning. Yes, I did want to be a part of the conversation, so I started Man of Prestige. I am not offering any solutions. I'm just having conversations over there. So shout out to you, TLA, for always giving us and I'm going to pay my dues right now to make sure that I pay my respect and support your platform.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Shout out to my man Ola. You see his name right here. Charlie X said, yeah, I was feeling what he was saying. Charlie, we kind of know what he was saying. So shout out to Ola, Man of Prestige. Y'all go and follow him over there. And one of the moderators could drop the link to his channel. Thank you so much, Ola. Really appreciate it, brother.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you. Thanks for doing what you. That was a fantastic roast. Now check out what this person said. Your Honor, this man has no idea what he's talking about. Can we have his statement striking from the record? All right. Nice doing, Suzette. Nice to meet you.
A pleasure, Ola.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Thank you. Shout out to all the Nigerians in the house. Shout out to all the Kenyans. Shout out to all the Kuyus.
Comment.
Your Honor. I'm sorry. See, this is why I can't just pull shit up and just leave it up like I do. I got to read everything. What do you say? Your Honor, this man, what he's talking about. Yeah, I
apologize for all the people that did super chat when I took over the stage. I apologize, but that was the goal, to take over the stage however way we did it. Some people call it cloud chasing, but gentlemen, if you're not getting attention when it comes to keeping your eyes on the bag, right, you're not going to get anywhere. You need a certain level of attention, and this was great, as a matter of fact, towards that. And that's the second half of the reason why I enjoy the roast.
Statement stricken from the record. Davion, it's a funny.
Oh my
I'm sorry, Ola. I did not mean to leave this. I clicked it, I put it up, and I started doing other things, and I saw Suzette laughing. But shout out to you, Davion. And to be fair to Damien, Ola was a little confused, right? But Charlie X said, listen, I know what Ola's trying to say. I know what he's trying to say. So shout out to Ola.
Back to my Niger.
Shout out to Charlie X. Shout out to Charlie X.
Shout out to David. Shout out to all the Nigerians. Somebody said, man, the Nigerians might have to hold something, right? They might have to hold something. Shout out to way too rough. You are way too rough with that.
What we're gonna hold is these conversations. You're not gonna rush this conversation, especially if you want to be in a long-term committed relationships and you want to get to the bag. And I mean real bag, the proper way. I'm not talking about you're making a salary of. There's a lot of kids, a lot of young men, personal friends, okay, that I know making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year, and they still can't get to some ass. Okay, as in like consistently, they're struggling with maintaining a relationship with a young lady out here. This is real problems. This has nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with the game. It's not a joke. There are written and unwritten rules that you have to learn. So, I digress.
With that super chat, thank you. We got a D'Angelo Bell in the house of Nigeria. Somebody said, man, the Nigerians might have to hold something, right? They might have to hold something. Shout out to way too with that super chat. Thank you. D'Angelo Bell in the house. Thank you so much for becoming a member, D'Angelo. Really, really appreciate it. We got Elephant Room 19. Okay, we got somebody who says, wait, back up, Lee. Let me break it down. The Nigerians are confused. The Nigerian sector is confused about what the sign language is. Sign language, Elephant Room 219 informs us, is shame, insult, guilt, and the need to be right. All right.
So somebody help me correct the manosphere. That's not what sign languages are. Sign languages goes as far back as 5th century before Christ, right? It's actually the language and a way for the deaf community to communicate, okay, to express and exchange communication, exchange ideas, literally using signs, right? So somebody help me correct Elephant Room. I think I did give him a finger up later on though.
So we got the record straight. We got the record straight. All right. My man Damien said, let's strike that from the record, and Elephant Room is gonna supplement the record with the real meaning. All right. So shout out to you.
How could that be the real meaning?
Okay, I'm gonna start reading them now. Shout out to Heard but Not Seen. I can't really have your comments seen, but thank you so much.
I did put in a few super chats after that to continue, the roast. I wanted to continue the roast. So let's continue here.
But, and then I like it. Te encuentres súper bien, Raven. And we got James Jones says, if you want people to disrespect and insult you, go ahead. But I'm not accepting sign language. They will need to better articulate their argument. And I like this too. Let's hold these.
So I disagree with this because I understand why TLA likes it, because he's one of them, in terms of he's reading surface value, and he should. But there's also behind the scenes value. There's something that James Jones is trying to say beyond what we can see here. Yes, gentlemen, you have to read minds, you have to read sign languages, the real one, okay, the one that he's saying right now. So he's speaking sign language right now. What he's trying to say is that if I read somebody communicating with me, if I take an offense, I'm not going to tolerate it. That's the sign. That's what he's trying to say. But he said it in a different way. He said, if you want people to disrespect and insult you, that's not what he's trying to say. He's saying other things from his ass from behind the scenes, right? And gentlemen, you have to learn how to read that. Sometimes your lady will be speaking certain things and she's trying to say something else. You have to be patient to read beyond that. That's the lesson. That's a major part of the lesson here. That means it's going to be a function of time for you to get to actually what she's trying to say. And sometimes, just because you're human, it's going to feel like an insult. It may feel like somebody's trying to shame you, and it's okay, just like TLA and Suzette did in this conversation. It's okay to say, what do you mean? What are you trying to say? Even though they said that, I still didn't get to the point because I was a little bit all over the place, right? I was speaking sign language, right? But we still made fun out of it. We made some lessons out of it, right? So this is very, very important to understand.
These women to what they say, right? And I know Suzette is like, oh, when I get home, I take off my lawyer hat. Listen. We are all adults and we're going to speak. All right. And if you start speaking sloppily, expect people to kind of help you clean it up. And they'll be, now we're going to parse the words. And no. Just speak precise.
So, as I always say, that's not wrong, but it's inaccurate. It's inaccurate because real life doesn't work like that. Okay? Speak concise. No, it doesn't work like that. That's not how life works. Unfortunately, TLA. Okay, let me see if I can make sure I get proper audio out of this. Hello. Okay, let's do that. Let's do this. All right, just make sure that we have proper audio going as well. Awesome. That's not how life works. Okay, there are going to be times that grown adults will go in circles because emotions are involved. They also try not to offend you. They actively try not to offend you, or they don't want to come off as offensive, right? Or they're trying to put up the best front. We all speak sign languages. within the context of this conversation for those that need me to say that, not the S-I-G-N. Okay, so no, everyone is not going to be a adult 100% of the time. They're going to be adults in real life, but they may speak from a different place sometimes. A lot of people speak from their childhood experiences and stuff like that, and that's how they've learned how to talk, and that's still how they talk. But for someone with this kind of mindset, they wouldn't have the patience to, even though I know in action he does have the patience, they wouldn't have the patience to get through the conversation.
Speak precisely so that we can get on the same page. So shout out to James Jones. I'm right there with you, James Jones. I want to hold these women and these
definitely
men.
Not there
Listen,
with him. He's speaking sign languages.
the Nigerian. Shout out to Ola. He came up here. Did you see me give Ola a pass?
Did you notice that James was actively shaming and throwing an insult? Also, I didn't take it that way at the time, obviously. I'm just reading it now, right? Like, he's also insulting me that I'm willing to receive insult and disrespect. What about that part? Oh, we're not going to think that far, right? Why not? Where's the limitations? Again, to the point I'm making, you have to be patient, because the same measure of judgments that you dish out is going to be offered back to you. It's part of the scriptures for those of you that read the Bible.
It became clear to me with my half an ear that Ola didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. Then I was like, hold up, Ola, hold up. Now, are you saying that this is not a negative thing? And then when he started tap dancing, did you just see me let him?
I was tap dancing. I still say it's not a negative thing because of like James Jones, because they're speaking from their ass and not from what they type.
Him off the hook? No, I kept my foot on the gas a little bit, right? So we're calling the men and the women out. We're calling the Jamaicans and the Nigerians out. All right, we are being equal. Bumba clock. We're being equal across the board. All right, we're preaching accountability for both sides. All right, I pulled up some comments that weren't great about our Nigerian Ola.
The only effective way to hold other people accountable is to hold yourself accountable. Okay. The only part I'm gonna hold myself accountable, okay? Not for the part that we're getting some attention from this, but for the part that I could have also lived in the present a little bit more. It's part of the things that I teach. Live in the present and engage them, and say, okay, which sign language would you want to speak about? The sign language from 5th century before BC, or you want to talk about the sign language from 5 months ago or 12 months ago by Kevin Samuels? I could ask them that question and engage the conversation a little bit that way too. So I could have done a better job in communication skills. It's something that we're all continuing to learn.
All right, the whole country had to take an L today. All right, so
that's funny.
All the women who are like, "Oh, Lee just beats up on women." No, I beat up on Nigerians too. All right.
Let me make this clear. People that don't accept sign languages, right? They can't stay in long-term relationships. They can't, okay? That's not the only reason why they can't. Among many other factors and odds against them, this is one major factor that will make them not be able to tolerate certain cost of being in a long-term relationship. There's high rewards for being in long-term relationships, and there's studies around that, right? The part of the cost, part of the minuscule cost that is going to cost you in order to be able to stay in long-term relationship is patience. The opposite of patience is what James Jones is talking about. He's going to take an offense quick enough. He's going to attack you right back with sign language, the actual manosphere sign language, and he's going to exit that relationship knowingly or unknowingly, subconsciously or unsubconsciously, before the relationship actually runs its course.
The people in the motherland, we're calling it fair. So yes, we are. This is across the board. What does our man of prestige say?
Of course, I double down.
Shout out TLA. If you elephant room, where's the accountability? Sign language is used to describe going in circles, not the shaming.
It's not the shaming.
Ola, again,
The real meaning The real manosphere meaning is the shaming, the insult. Precisely what James Jones was doing just now, right? And the guilt, right? What he did, however, is to describe that I was going in circles. I didn't get to the point, especially when they're talking to the lady. If they don't get to the point and they start to take an offense, then they call it shaming. If I start to describe what the black pale men look like, they're going to call it shaming, okay? The black pale men they come off as misogynistic, chauvinistic, right? Like they hate women, all right? They may not even mean it. That's the funny part about this, but they come off that way. When you come off that way, when you come off a certain way, it's described a certain way, can be completely different from the actual meaning of whatever that thing stands for. So again, I was talking more so sign languages from a figurative standpoint. Of course, that was the butt of the joke.
You're giving the Nigerians a bad name.
Wow.
You're saying sign language is not not the shaming, when the S in the sign language, I believe, stands for the
Come
shaming.
on, TLA, come on.
So it doesn't sound like our man of prestige
He knew exactly
really
what I
wants
was
to
talking
accept
about.
the accountability portion, right? Sometimes we fight back when we shouldn't fight back. And this is.
Oh, come on, you're not taking
This
an
is
offense
true.
now, TLA. So at this point, I think you may have been taking an offense that I keep going back, but maybe not. Maybe not, because I've seen him in a lot of this moments, and he understands that's a joke, but I guess it's all part of the joke, him saying it that way.
Some people double down. Some people absolutely double down on stuff. So we don't let the women do it, so we ought not let the men do it either. And Ola, you've been on my show.
Yes,
You've been up here. I love when you come up here and shout out your channel, but I can't let you slide. Yeah, I can't let you slide either if you're not really making a lot of sense.
Well, TLA, I don't know if you noticed, I'm not letting you slide on this one either, but it's all fun. And with that being said, there's some real lessons in this.
What does the U.S. law says? Can the court take judicial notice of the fact that our Nigerian brother had no idea what he was talking about? He didn't. He really didn't, guys. And I want everybody in the chat to.
I'm sorry, a lot of people they didn't have the skill sets to pick up what I was talking about. Unfortunately, the ladies had to pick up what I was talking about, and everyone else, the men, could not pick up what I was talking about. Just watch, keep watching.
Recognize that I called him out. Right? Don't tell me, I'm calling Suzette out, but I'm letting the brothers pass. Nobody's passing. All right. Everybody needs to make sense. Words have meaning, and let's put them together in an accurate way. Look at Suzette.
All right. So right there, Suzette even is catching it. She caught that. Words have meaning. And because words have meaning, we just engage in this gotcha. And you're busy spending a lot of your energy, not TLA, he's just having fun. But a lot of these men will read what he's doing right now, and they basically go and practice that in their personal relationships. Gotcha. No, but you're wrong here. You're wrong here. You're right here. You're wrong here. You engage in that kind of energy, you're going to hurt your relationships, okay? You're going to build resentment over time, right? So does words have meaning? Yes. But here's something I also noticed, that people that are very quick to pull out dictionary meanings, they also tend to lack game, because dictionary meanings does not have emotional and social intelligence in it. It doesn't. It gives you the surface meaning of the word. Words have deeper meaning beyond dictionary meanings. Come on, gentlemen. Do I have to tell you that? Come on.
No, it's not about catching. Listen, it's not about catching.
Let it go.
We're staying
Lady
right
has to tell
here,
you
and
to
if
let
you
it go.
start to swerve off a little bit, I'm gonna just
I didn't want
push
to
this
let it
right
go,
back.
though.
That's all.
Just watch.
You start.
You in the Hellcat. I'm
Listen.
enjoying this ride, and you like. Rah.
Well, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it next week on your channel. All right,
Yes.
we're absolutely gonna do it next week. I'm not letting Suzette slide, but
Not
damn,
letting
Nigeria,
people slide.
Don't represent the whole sector right back.
Not letting people slide. I want you to note that. That's a real kick against the game. People that lack game, not UTLA, but people that lack game, they tend to not let things slide. Okay? Sometimes we all have a little bit of intolerance. I've been there too, where I didn't let things slide. Okay? But those were also my lowest level of vibration. Okay? Where I didn't have patience for other people to express themselves, no matter how long it took them to express themselves. Even the biggest companies, the most successful companies in this world, they give that freedom to people to express themselves. They take their time to process it. For those that are data scientists and want to talk about big data in the middle of conversations like this, even you have to dig deeper into analysis and go a little bit deeper than what you can see on the surface. Hence the whole point of data science. It's not just as simple as collecting data. You got to go beyond that. Analysis, data science, insights, artificial intelligence, machine learning, so that machines can talk and act and be able to read information like us, because it's deeper than anything surface that you will see in a dictionary.
Yeah, we can take judicial notice on that. We can absolutely do. Shout out to our man. What did Joseph say? Maybe, man, he was so wrong. He needed 3 lefts to be right. He was a little bit out there.
Now, what is the buzzword here? He used the buzzword wrong. People that lack game, they tend to go in the direction of right and wrong. They tend to go into the directions of black and white, ones and zeros. They really do think they're in a computer engineering class. My background is computer engineering. I have a whole degree on it. So I know what ones and zeros are, and I know what the limitations are. Okay? They're exactly that. They're just ones and zeros. There's a big spectrum of gray in between, especially when you're talking about relationships and romance and humans.
You got a $20 chat.
Of course I came back.
Chat. What does our man of prestige say? Okay, he's gonna come with it now, guys. He's gonna come with it. What?
Now, this was my attempt to show them what real shaming looked like. So basically, I went for shaming and a little bit of insult. You have to do that sometimes, okay? You have to do it tastefully though, but you have to do it sometimes. And you have to be okay if it backfires. You have to be okay with the fact that it could backfire too. As me being okay with the whole roasting thing right now. It's a beautiful thing. It actually creates drama that attracts attention, and sometimes that's the little extra element that you need to add to whatever you're trying to do. And some people will say, oh yeah, so you're gonna do the wrong thing again. You're talking about wrong thing again. You're focused on wrong thing. You're just gonna do the wrong thing to again. You're focused on wrong.
What's he say? He said, oh, he tripled down.
Of course,
Why is he
triple
tripling down? These are black pill kids.
Wait till the end of this video. I'm gonna
and they
quadruple
use
down.
sign language to dismiss conversations. I personally don't use it. With the black pill kids, listen,
Wait till the end of this video. I actually quadruple down.
You guys correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember how the sign language started, but in my head, I have it associated with Kevin Samuels. Did Kevin Samuels make it up?
So wait. So TLA, you didn't know what it was too? You didn't know the manosphere version of the sign language? But funny enough, TLA knew the original sign language, which again goes back as far back as 5th century before Christ. And also he understood I was trying to say that sometimes people go in circles before they get to the point. Don't be so quick to call that sign language. But everyone is stuck on the fact that I didn't spell out the acronyms. Let's keep going here.
In my head, it's like this, right? No one can convince me that Kevin Samuels is black pill. I have not seen every...
Wait, is it speaking sign language right now? Because I never said that. So what's the point here? To maybe potentially try to align me with the idea of calling Kevin Samuels black pill? Is that shaming? Could that perceive that as an insult? Could that now go back and say, hey, that's that sign language right there, right? Well, what about the need to be right? So sorry, what about the guilt? Did I need to feel guilty here? Did I feel a little bit guilty here? I could have. I'm human, right? I could have. I don't think I did though. Yeah. I didn't. This was a conversation like every other conversation, and the whole point of me coming on is to, number one, I do enjoy him. I just don't go on any random channels to promote my channel. I enjoy his content, but I also use that to promote. I'm not like literally we're behind the stage for long. So if I have a little bit of a downtime, I do this like once every other 3 weeks or so. If I have a little bit of downtime, and maybe I'm not really engaged that day, or maybe I'm doing some work in the background, I'll put this on my ears and I'm listening. So I could be in the backstage. So, but let's be clear, staying in those backstages takes long, and I appreciate him because he also appreciates that, right? But you see, is this a little bit of shaming, insult, guilt, and a need to be right in his explanations right now? Could that turn around and just dismiss the conversation by calling it sign language? Again, dismissing conversations. Okay?
Episode of Kevin Samuels, fair enough. He's been on YouTube for years. But to call him black pill, I think is a further...
That's sign language. Never called him black pill.
Misunderstanding of what's going on, right? And Suzette's like, I don't even know what black pill means.
What does black pill mean for new YouTubers? I don't know what that means.
Don't even...
Come on, Suzette, you be all right. Black pill, don't worry about it. I don't even know what it means either. But let's continue.
Even worry, do not concern yourself with the black pill sector, because it's a lot of Don't worry, don't look over there. Stay over here with the red pills and the manosphere. Don't look at the black pill too.
So he's agreeing with me, So now I'll be dumb. Speaking of dumb, I'll be dumb to now realize that he's agreeing with me just in that last sentence he just made. Don't look over there. I was making a point and he agreed with the point without saying I agree. Gentlemen, you got to read beyond the surface or surface value meaning or dictionary meaning of words. Come on, we can do better, but I got you. I'm not going to give up on you. We're going to figure this out together. Okay?
It's crazy over there. But Man of Prestige is tripling down. Anton, I got not the Anton, I got another Anton Shields. What does he say? The problem has been going on for 40 years plus. Our women know that they are doing towards men. Wait, I'm sorry. Our women know what they're doing towards men suffer little consequences. Am I reading that right? Guys, after 4 hours, these words start swimming.
Okay, I did say that earlier, that it's been 4 hours, so it's a lot to try to process. But Anton Shields is also speaking sign language. He's actively shaming women and insulting women in this typographical expression. Okay? So I don't know if that's the thing I just said, but you get the point. It's just another sign language. Everyone does it, okay? Everyone throws shame, insult, guilt, and a need to be right. And they speak all of this different grammatical nonsense just to feel like they're right, okay? I've done it. I probably do it every now and then. But what I try not to do is that. I try not to do that. And that's the whole point of us having these conversations on this channel right here.
Our women know what they are doing towards men suffer a little consequence. The difference now is men are fed up, and I've started to broaden their option. You're broadening the men's. Okay, I think you mean you started to broaden your options, or we've started to broaden our options. Yes, absolutely. You guys are giving me puzzles up here, man. I think you're totally right. And I think that Kevin Samuels did a poll. Here we go again, Man of Prestige. What's he say? Is he gonna apologize? Let's see what he says. Let's read it together. Are you ready? All right. All right, you Suzette, read it. What's he say? I don't even want to read it. What's he say?
Holding you accountable. Now you are speaking sign language. I never called KS the GOAT black pill. Thanks for the sports.
Okay. All right.
All right. He was looking forward to something a little bit more exciting, I guess, because his laugh was his chuckle there wasn't up to par. But here we go again. Now, the way the lady just read it. See, here's the funny thing about text. And there's a whole video that's probably already live on this channel on text messaging. And when you're text messaging your ladies and why you should never do it. And the only one exception, why you should never flirt using text messages, and why and the only one exception to being able to do that, right? There's another video, and I want you to look out for that video, right, on this channel. Now, this is why I said that. When she read it, I obviously was not talking like that. But because words have meaning, right? But there were different meanings behind the way she read it, okay? She said, holding you accountable. Now you're speaking sign language, right? I never called K as the GOAT black pill. Thanks for the sports. I obviously don't talk like that, right? So if I was to demonstrate that and read that the way I would read that in real life, I would say, holding you accountable. Now you're speaking sign language. I never called K as the GOAT black pill. Thanks for the sports. So there's this little smile on my face. There's a little chuckle on my face. There's a smirk on my face. If anything, at least what I'm trying to do, or what I am doing from my standpoint is, this is not that serious. It's not that deep, right? So again, words have deeper meaning beyond just words. Let's stop. Come on, TLA. Come on, TLA's audience. Come on, my audience here. Words have deeper meaning than just dictionary meaning, and we will figure this out, okay?
I think we got what you mean, man of prestige. Don't feel no offense. People are just joking with you, but
They're just joking, man. Yeah, they're just joking.
I
They're
think we
just
understand
joking.
what you meant by the sign. So don't know.
So at this point, I wasn't watching the chat. Actually, I was more so listening to TLA and Suzette and what he was reading, what it was pulling out to read. So I didn't see the sign until long after this, So I definitely wasn't taking offense to anything in the sign. I was actually engaging them, and I was actively trying to continue the roast for as long as it could last, because the roast also represent exposure for this channel, Man of Prestige. That's just the truth, okay?
We're not saying that you are calling Kevin black pill either. Okay, we're good.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you.
she's so sweet.
That was really nice the way you did that, Suzette. Shout out to Suzette Speaks for smoothing out. You see, when a woman comes in, a woman's hand, a woman's touch, she could smooth it out. I like that. Y'all ain't letting up. Y'all are not letting up off of Nigeria. What does they say? What does Jaff say? Hola, not only did you not use sign language right, you were offensive by saying that sign language.
What did I say about people taking an offense? They're very quick to take an offense. So obviously they're very quick to read anything and everything as a sign, manosphere signs language, right? As shame, insult, guilt, and need to be right. But they're actively expressing their need to be right. Let's continue.
Is used by deaf and dumb. Oh, did he say dumb? I didn't know he said that.
I missed. I think he might have said that.
God damn. What is the
Yeah, because these kids are dumb. The deaf are not dumb. Okay, let's be clear about that. The deaf are I've been around the school of the deaf, right? And they are, so I went to a school where I had 2 school for the blind students in my class that I helped them. Some of the smartest human beings you will ever meet. The same thing with School of the Deaf. For those of you that are Nigerian, there's a School of the Deaf in Akure, and there's a School of the Blind in Owo, in Ondo State. For those of you that are Nigerians, you know what I'm talking about. These are some of the smartest people, and they're definitely far from dumb. However, they used to be called deaf and dumb when, life was where it used to be. Today it's considered offensive. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But this particular $50, thanks for supporting my guy, TLA. But everything he said in it, it's just another dumb statement, This is what it is. Just another dumb. Why is it dumb? Because he's speaking sign language and he's accusing other people of speaking sign language.
correlation between the term sign language and the actual term? And who are the dumb you are referring to? Man, you guys are on it. Let me try to defend him a little bit. Let me say I'm his attorney. All right, shout out to Ola. Let me represent the Nigerian sector. He did when he brought up.
All right, wait for it. So this is the point where TLA is going to disclose and say, okay, I admit, I know exactly what he was talking about. I didn't want him to do that. I really didn't. I want him to continue, but I appreciate it anyway, because I'm human, and to a certain level, I was like, oh, okay, so he gets what I was saying. But honestly, I would have continued. I believe that we bring all of the education to my channel, and we have all of the other funds outside, like the drama, all the stuff. We leave it on TLA's channel, we leave it on Kevin Samuel's channel, but we come here to actually dig a little deeper. That maybe there's some other things to learn in this, but I appreciated it anyway. So he's making an attempt right now to disclose to everybody that he actually understood what I was talking about.
The deaf and dumb. He did say that's kind of where sign language started, right? Now he wasn't talking about this Kevin Samuel sign language. He was talking about the actual sign language, right? Yep. Mm-hmm. There you go. That's exactly right. So he was talking about the sign language, and that was used with the deaf. Now, back in the day, they did call people dumb, right? That back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, giving people lobotomies. Yep. Right. So I think that's what he was saying. I'm gonna try to defend Nigeria. I'm gonna try to hold Nigeria.
So what's his name? Jaf Soul? He didn't know any better. He was more confused. I admit I confused him, because maybe I should have been speaking 2021 and not 1640, right?
Even though I don't know if they deserve it, because Ola, you were like quadrupling down, right? You couldn't really.
No. Wait.
Were kind of
wait for it, Taylor. I'm gonna quadruple down at the end of this video, so wait for it.
Quadruple it down on some stuff, and that's not what we want to do. You men do not allow women to double down and triple down. You women.
Not me. Only the men in the manosphere. Not even the gurus. The gurus are actually doing fine, but the way the audience tend to interpret what the gurus are trying to say definitely does not allow anybody to slide, as you said earlier. Definitely is busy holding other people accountable, and never holding themselves accountable as a recipe for disaster.
You men want women to be accountable. Let's kind of do it ourselves, right? And that's what Jaff is saying. Jaff is like, hey man, Ola, I don't know if you're doing right. Right? So let's sometimes, guys, it's okay to say we're wrong. It really is. It really, really is. Shout out to Jaff. Thank you so much, Jaff, for such a generous super chat. Really appreciate it.
About the part that, am I wrong or right? I'll talk about that towards the end as well, too. But I can tell you this right now. I've been wrong at least 3 times today, and it's only 10:55 a.m. So at least 3 times I've been wrong today. So I can admit that I'm wrong. But in this conversation, let's keep it going.
I hope you don't mind me trying to help our brother out, man, because he needs it. He was digging himself a hole. All right, so thank you so much. What does Charlie say? Ola, we still rock with you. Okay, let's hold the Nigerians up. Where the damn Nigerians at? Said this just a light roast.
Shout out to Charlie. This is a light roast. I want smoke. Like Suzette, I want smoke.
But why you gotta use sign language now, though? Just have your voice together next time. Shout out to Charlie X. Charlie X be supported lead attorney's heart. What were you gonna say, Suzette?
No, I'm just leave Ola alone.
Yeah, she's done, and we gotta pick that up. But no, this is a mess channel. So here's the thing. Why did I gotta bring sign language up? I didn't bring it up. They always bring it up. I don't speak that language at all. I don't use that language. I don't use the words. I do speak sign language like everybody else. I do get caught up in my emotions sometimes. I try not to, I'm aware. The key thing is the awareness. Here, that's the key thing here.
Good. It's good.
What is Joseph Pryor? Joseph Pryor, another one. Blessing. Thank you so much, Joseph Pryor. Says actually it was an acronym that he came up with a year ago, right before that I have a PhD. So Kevin Samuels is the one. I always have it linked, but you never want to, you never know who invents anything, right? So I'm kind of cautious with that, but I do say.
And you don't need to know who invent things. This is where we put too much energy into trying to know all of the facts and not paying attention to the present. I was guilty of the same thing. In fact, next time when I come back, I'm not like Charlie X said, the advice, I'm going to kick against that advice. I'm not going to have my points together. I'm going to speak in the moment as I normally did. And if it catches fire in the future and it becomes a roast, so be it. I actually love that. I like it's a little bit more it brings a little bit more substance out, as you can see. I've created an hour lesson out of this right now. It brings a little bit more substance for the right people, not for everyone, obviously. No, I don't agree that you have to get all your facts together. We collect facts over time. That's the reality about data. It's collected over time. And a lot of data that people are quoting are lagging indicators. And we're not paying attention to the leading indicators. Your social intelligence, your emotional intelligence, how people are operating with you in this present time. One thing I could do better is that, how do I feel? I can stick to my point, which is my point is that let's be patient, okay? Let's not be too quick to judge or count some. I did say that as sign language. What is sign language? Actually, I don't know what it is, but anything, whatever it is that they're calling sign language, relax. I could have made that point, but then again, the conversation will be shorter, and then he will kick me out of the stage way too soon, right? Because it's boring, right? So this was a lot more fun. I think the key lesson here is that these things work out the way they're supposed to work out if you just live in the present. And if you overthink every single process, you will still miss it because you're human like the rest of us.
That, in my head, sign language and Kevin Samuels, like it's a tight correlation there. So thank you so much, Joseph Pryor, and thank you so much for the $50 super.
You know why? Because he uses sign language, shame, insult, guilt, and need to be right. He uses that respectfully. He uses that, and he's used it to build a million sub base, and I cannot argue with that. That's results. That's why to me he's the OG. That's why to me he deserved the title the Godfather, because he did something right. Obviously, a lot of times, not a lot of time, 100% of the time, Kevin Samuel is right with his facts and data and those kind of things. 100% of the time. Not 100% of the time, but basically the point I'm making here is that a lot of time the way he comes off can come off as wrong. But remember, I'm the guy who says wrong and right is irrelevant. It depends on who he's talking to. He's talking to an audience of 1 million people. As long as he doesn't bring that into an actual relationship with one person, that person will feel smothered. And he cannot maintain a long-term relationship in that manner. It's just not going to work. And he said that multiple times. He's checked even gentlemen multiple times about this on his channel as well.
Which I really, really appreciate it. So generous.
Almost done?
All right.
No,
I'm gonna go back to doing. Oh, sorry about that. And I was just gonna say. Let me apologize. I know I missed some super chat, guys. We had Kevin Samuels. We had other people up. Practitioner, beautiful woman as well. What did she say? Sign language. He made a good point. Women often say things in the heat of the moment and with a ton of emotion. His point was, let's not be quick to discredit a woman. In the pursuit of love, it takes time. This is a reason.
Now, this point right here, I didn't like it. It's a little bit of bittersweet for me because she gets completely what I was saying. But I wish a man could have come to say this. A little part of me wish a man could have come forward and say this. I'd rather the men are much more socially and emotionally intelligent than a woman coming to say this. And that's the work we're doing here on this channel. I appreciate it to practitioner her, but I just wish it was men that would really get it this quick, But I think we're gonna get there. I'm not gonna give up on us. We're gonna figure this out together, gentlemen. We're gonna figure this out together. And to his credit, I think the TLA completely got what I was trying to go, but he's also highly engaged with the manosphere community, so he knew what the acronym stands for, and he didn't know it, but he knew there was an acronym, and he wanted to, and he was reading the chats as well. That's to his credit, But yeah, I just wish it was a woman, a man, who said this. But maybe I'm being misogynistic by saying that too. So let's dismiss that. But thanks to her.
Reading of it, I didn't read it this way, but if you say it this way, I'd have to go back and look at it. But maybe you absolutely. I said actually. I meant to say absolutely. Maybe you absolutely have a point, practitioner. So thank you so much. Another one standing up for Nigeria. Shout out to Anton Daniels. Shout out to She Stole My Thunder. Shout out to Chad.
So let me go back a little bit there. There was a chat there that I think he just skipped through really
This is a
quickly.
reading of it. I didn't read it this way, but
So let
if you
me.
say it this way, I'd have to go back and look at it, but I said actually, I meant to say absolutely. Maybe you absolutely have a point, practitioner. So thank you so much. Another one standing up for Nigeria. Shout out.
All right, this one right here. So Anton came back and said, "S.I.G.N. It's called the woman's pathology, and no, Kevin Samuel did not invent this acronym. It was given to him by someone else." Yeah. So again, he didn't say anything wrong, but we're too focused on knowing the facts of the situation, and we completely dismiss the present. And this is why we're having a hard time in relationships. This is precisely a big part of having a hard time in dating and relationships, because we don't learn how to live in the present. That's why we have a hard time understanding why the whole point of manifesting. I do agree that the manifesting thing is an overkill for a lot of ladies, but I wouldn't be too quick to dismiss it either. I just wouldn't be.
Shout out to Anton Shields. Shout out to She Stole My Thunder. Shout out
Let's
to
go. Let's
Chad.
go. Come on.
Again, if I don't, everybody wants me to read the $20 ones and above, right? Because if I don't, we will be here all day.
All of those super chats you're looking at are basically people actively using sign language to shame the ladies while we're having this conversation. So the hypocrisy is on steroids.
Shout out to Peoples. What does People Hernandez say? Samuels didn't come up with sign. He credits it to BGS.
Ibmore? I don't know how you say it.
That's another acronym that we don't need and we don't care to know. I don't know what this is. I don't care to know. It has nothing to do with this moment. Learn how to live in the moment and get out of the need to be right part of the sign language.
I don't need
I appreciate the $9.99 super chat for my friend.
either, but thank you so much, Peoples. Really appreciate you correcting me on that. You see how I did that? See how I did that, Ola? I said, "Oh, I made a mistake." I'm sorry. Thank you for correcting me.
Now the TLA wants to shame me. He wants to shame me now. Okay, I promise I didn't receive that as an insult. Thank you. No, I was not wrong. I'll tell you, I've been wrong at least 3 to 5 times today. In this case, I wasn't wrong.
Just came off the top, so thank you so much, people. We can do it.
All right. So let's get into it. 1, the real sign language. Sign languages, also known as sign languages, are languages that use the visual manual modality to convey meaning. Wherever communities of deaf people exist, sign languages have developed as useful means of communication, and they form the core of local deaf cultures. 2, the manosphere actual sign language. It's an acronym that represents shame, insult, guilt, and need to be right. 3, how the manosphere's loudest audience uses sign language to shame the ladies. This is how low vibration men interpret a woman who is not necessarily saying what she means in the moment. There is a lack of patience and game to just chill and listen. 4, the correlation between the real sign language and S.I.G.N language during the roast. The manosphere's loudest audience assumes that a lady or anyone who is speaking within the context of some emotions with no facts and statistics like Godfather Kevin Samuels does is speaking sign language. So it is easy to correlate that as a figure of speech with the real sign languages, which is someone not speaking in clear or concise words but emotions. That's precisely what attracted the roast. Granted, the lead attorney was quite patient with me. I was kind of speaking in signs because of my reluctance to define manosphere's sign language in that moment. I wanted to get to the point I was trying to make. The practitioner, a viewer, another woman, finally helped the lead attorney. I was talking about patience, time, grace, and their application first before writing conversations off as sign languages. Let's be clear, a man of prestige tries not to engage in too much self-explanation. There is usually no time for that, unless some form of long-term endeavor is involved. As you can see, this is all part of scheming these long-term lessons together for the platform and movement Man of Prestige, a long-term endeavor and passion project. The truth is that a lot of these men who lack game have almost zero patience to get through effective communication, especially with a lady, and they tend to take offense very quickly. So they hear everything as shame insult, guilt tripping, and they read everything as a need to be right. Prematurely because they see the godfather Kevin Samuel putting up a show doing it. When they try to use the same method in their personal relationships, it backfires, and their quickest go-to is to shame the lady by accusing her of sign languages or accusing other gentlemen of simping. It's lack of social and emotional intelligence that creates the challenge where a man cannot differentiate between what makes a good show and how to communicate in real-life relationships. It's precisely part of the reasons for the struggle with leading in dating and maintaining long-term relationship in the modern day. That's okay, gentlemen. We're going to figure this out together. I'm not giving up on you. Men of prestige is a function of time, patience, experience, and skills in the game. Thanks to the lead attorney for the roast and shouting out men of prestige and Nigeria so much. I have fun with it, evident by the super chat. Men of prestige knows how to tip, give, and outgive. Money goes and comes. It will come back again in folds. The money game is part of what you will learn in this movement and on this channel. You probably noticed some of the chatters bitching about my super chat. In Nigeria slangs, we would say, is it your money? If you're a Nigerian and thought I made you look bad, you lack game and you're making us look bad. I'm also grateful to the lead attorney for this moment of lesson for us all. A mistake at using a terminology that I don't even use has turned to a lesson. As you could tell, I was a little reluctant to define the manosphere's actual sign language. Unbeknownst to certain people, one of the earliest written records of a sign language is from the 5th century before Christ, thanks to the lead attorney who had to educate them a little in between the roast. We all use the manosphere's version of sign languages to an extent when we get caught up in our emotions within a conversation. That's accountability, not pointing fingers but understanding some things about our nature that's all inclusive. The manosphere's version of sign language is precisely what went viral the most. From the godfather Kevin Samuel's YouTube channel, the shaming, the insults, the guilt trips, and need to be right. He spent hours on live stream multiple nights per week doing at least a fraction of those things. Gentlemen, this is your application class for Kevin Samuel studies. We will not blame the godfather for your inability to process information within the context of social and emotional intelligence. Relax and learn how to apply the game in real life. And yes, I am shaming you. I will put my foot on your neck until you master the game. Knowing how a lot of modern men process information, I have to say, I meant that figuratively. When a lady is speaking, be it your girl, wife or not, true leaders will value and apply grace accordingly because the truth is a function of time. Men of prestige understands why we don't quickly approach things from a standpoint of right and wrong. If anything, it's a sign of lack of patience and game. So is deaf and dumb offensive? According to Google, in later years, dumb came to mean silent. Of course, one of the super chatters took an offense to that, asking me who I was calling dumb. I'll get to that in a minute. This definition, dumb meaning silence, still persists because that is how people see deaf people. The term is offensive to deaf and hard of hearing people for a number of reasons. This label is technically inaccurate since deaf and hard of hearing people generally have functioning vocal cords. As you heard the lead attorney, I was referencing where the real sign language came from originally. Respectfully, it's no surprise to me how many people in the chats didn't know that. I apologize to the deaf community because I didn't need to use the terminology at all. Now, let's quadruple down on the undercover black pill kids. If you're following the godfather Kevin Samuels blindly with blindfolds on, you're actually dumb. There is another meaning to the word in that context, and I want you to figure that out. That's your homework. Maybe it's a good idea to watch some of the godfather's older videos, but I promise, gentlemen, we will figure this out together. I am wrong at least 3 times a day. I was not wrong on this one. In fact, right and wrong are irrelevant. Okay, relax. I am joking. But the game in this lesson is not a joke. There are written and unwritten rules that you need to learn.